Poor girl left by Arab billionaire, now sleeping on the street. But she's not alone. Fatima had learned to survive the unforgiving streets of Dubai. At 19, she was small in stature, but fierce in spirit. Her dark hair often tangled, her clothes remnants of a past life filled with hope. Once, she had believed in dreams, but today they slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. What happened to her? An onlooker whispered, glancing at her slight frame wrapped in a tattered shawl. The scent of spices wafted from nearby food stalls, a stark contrast to her reality. She had been working as a maid in the opulent palace of Sheikh Alim, a figure of wealth who dazzled the world with his extravagant parties and lavish lifestyle. Gold chandeliers sparkled in the grand hallways, while the rich notes of oud filled the air, a symphony of excess that felt foreign to Fatima now. "I thought he cared," she murmured to herself, her voice barely rising above the murmurs of the night crowd. The streets felt colder than ever. Outside the palace gates, the hubbub of the city pulsed with life. Laughter echoed as luxury cars rolled by, their drivers casting pitying gazes at the girl huddled on the steps. She closed her eyes, wishing for a miracle, a time when her heart wasn't so heavy with longing. Look at her, a lady in designer sunglasses scoffed, her voice laced with disdain. What a shame. Fatima felt their stares like daggers. She always remembered the glint in the sheikh's eye, the day he had first noticed her. His casual curiosity turning into something deeper. "You have potential, Fatima," he had said, his voice warm as the sun. "Let me change your life." And so it had begun, a whirlwind of silk and glamour, whispered secrets shared over cups of aromatic Arabic coffee. She had felt like a princess, basking in his attention. But just as swiftly, it all vanished. A sudden political scandal had left the sheikh with no choice but to sever ties, casting her back into a world where luxury was a distant memory. "Why, sheikh?" Fatima had pleaded, her heart racing as his cold gaze avoided hers. "I thought—" Words had failed her. Now, the cobblestones beneath her were unforgiving as she huddled against the chill, the sounds of the city blaring around her, a harsh reminder of what she had lost. But there, in the shadows, stood someone familiar, a figure looming, cloaked in darkness. Fatima felt her heart leap. "You're not alone, are you?" The voice was low, smooth, sending a chill through her. She turned, eyes wide, expecting to find herself staring up at the sheikh himself. Instead, it was someone she knew well, someone tied to her past, a rival from the palace, one who had always watched her with. "I see interest." Fatima's breath caught as the figure stepped closer, a knowing smile drawing across his lips. "I can help you, if you want." With her heart racing against the weight of uncertainty, Fatima found herself frozen, caught between the allure of hope and the danger of the past. What would she say? What choice stood in front of her? Hey, before we dive back into this amazing story, I've got an important warning. Lots of subscribers told me YouTube removed their subscription without notice. Take a second to check the red button below and make sure you're still subscribed. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming up. And while you're there, smash that powerful Like button, it really helps with the algorithm. Let me know in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love meeting every awesome person in this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Fatima's heart pounded in her chest. This was not the sheikh. No, it was Farid, one of the other palace staff. His dark eyes glinted with something she couldn't place. I can help you, if you want. His voice wrapped around her like a thick fog. Fatima shuddered. Did she even trust him? He had always been the one lurking in the background, judging, waiting. Why would you help me? She whispered, anxiety twisting her stomach. Was this some cruel joke? Farid stepped closer, shadows pooling around him. The bustling city felt even farther away. His smile was all wrong, like a mask hiding something sinister. You think you know me, Fatima? His tone shifted, sharp like glass. You have no idea. She leaned back, instinct telling her to be wary, yet curiosity gnawed at her. What could he possibly know? I've seen things, he continued, his eyes locking onto hers. Things that would shatter your memories of him. The mention of the sheikh made her stomach churn. Could he know about the nights they shared? This wasn't how she wanted to relive those moments. What dark secrets dabbled in his words? If he cared so much, Farid said, voice low, why did he throw you away like garbage? Fatima felt the heat rise in her cheeks. She wanted to slam her fists against his chest to make him take it back. But instead she trembled, feeling small under his gaze. What do you want from me? Farid paused, a flash of something, hunger, crossing his face. Information, that's all. Around them, the streets buzzed with laughter, car horns, and the smell of grilled kebabs. But here, in their bubble, silence deepened. You're lying, she replied, panic creeping in. What do you know about him? His lips curled into a smirk that ignited alarm in her gut. I know he's hiding something. Something big. A knot formed in her throat. What? The edge in his tone got sharper. He took a step forward, invading her space. He isn't the man you think he is. There's a reason he dropped you like a stone. Fatima's breath hitched. Memories swirled. His laughter, his promises, the dreams he spun. She felt fragile. Stop. But Farid pressed on, unyielding. Do you want to know the truth about the sheikh? The truth no one's told you? The air thickened. A part of her wanted to run. Yet another, more desperate part was trapped by sheer curiosity. What if he was telling the truth? What if the man she idolized was nothing but a mirage? If you're lying. I wouldn't lie about this, Fatima. Your life is at stake. What do you mean? He leaned even closer, his voice a whisper now, sending shivers down her spine. He has enemies, dangerous people, and you're caught in the middle. The layers of anxiety peeled back, revealing a hollow pit in her stomach. But still, she barely breathed. What do you want from me? Farid's smile faded. Help me expose him, then maybe you'll be free. Before she could respond, a loud crash echoed from a few blocks away. People screamed. The crowd surged, panic radiating from all directions. Fatima's heart raced. It felt personal. What's happening? She gasped. barely able to think straight. Farid's expression darkened. "I think it's starting. They found you." She backed away, suddenly aware of the danger approaching. "What do you mean?" But he was already dragging her. "Run!" She stumbled, caught between fear and the mystery he had just revealed. Behind them, shadows moved. Dark figures loomed, their intentions unclear, and the truth she craved felt closer, yet more dangerous than ever. Fatima knew one thing: something was coming, and it wasn't just a part of her past. It was a reckoning. "Move!" Farid shouted again, urgency tightening his grip. The light of the street lamps dimmed as she glanced back, dread clawing at her throat. Who had found her? What secrets were about to unfold? The night held its breath, and so did she. Fatima felt the panic rise as Farid pulled her through the chaos. The noise of screaming and running footsteps filled the air. Heart pounding, she turned her head to look back, but the shadows behind them surged closer. "Where are we going?" she gasped, desperation clawing at her throat. "Just trust me," Farid shouted, his grip unyielding. They ducked into a narrow alleyway, shadowed and dim. The concrete felt rough beneath her palms as she pressed against a wall. Breaths came in ragged gasps, and her mind raced. What secrets did Farid know? What truth did he want to expose? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind them. A garbage can tipped over, spilling its contents, and the noise mixed with a chorus of panicked footsteps. Fatima's heart thudded louder. They couldn't stop now. "Why did you come for me?" Fatima questioned, narrowing her eyes. "What's really going on?" For a moment, Farid hesitated. His dark eyes flickered with something almost human, something she thought she recognized. A flicker of compassion, but then it vanished, replaced by urgency. "I told you, it's about the Sheikh," he replied, voice tight. "You don't understand." "What about him?" she pressed, pressing her back against the wall. "What do you know?" His hand trembled slightly as he ran it through his hair. He hesitated, then leaned in closer, lowering his voice to a whisper that sent chills down her spine. "He didn't just toss you aside. There was a reason." A cold rush of anger surged through Fatima. Her heart hammered. What kind of reason? Farid's gaze flicked behind her again, anxiety fluttering at the corners of his mouth. "You're not safe. It's not just enemies. There's something you don't know." A loud shout erupted from the other end of the alley. The figure of a man stepped into the light, his silhouette tall and menacing. Fatima's breath hitched. It looked like a guard from the palace. "They're here," Farid hissed, yanking her back into the shadows. The figure grew closer, his voice booming. "Fatima, we know you're there. Come out now." Fear gripped her chest. What do they want? Fatima's eyes darted around, searching for an escape. "Just keep quiet," Farid urged, his voice low and firm. Fatima blinked and swallowed hard, trying to breathe. The truth twisted inside her. She wanted answers, but unease wrapped tight around her heart. "You said the Sheikh didn't care. Why?" she shot back. Farid's expression darkened, as if the question wounded him. "You don't get it. The Sheikh is in deep. You are too, because of your past. Fatima's mind raced. Her connection with the sheikh had become a noose. But why? What passed? What passed? She demanded, desperation clawing at her voice. Farid pulled back, a look of defeat crossing his face. I wasn't supposed to tell you, but you were part of something bigger, more dangerous. The nearby voices grew louder. The guard was closer. Fatima, we are coming for you. The world tilted. Fatima felt dizzy. What bigger thing? All she wanted was a chance. One real chance to escape this nightmare. Tell me, she pressed, shaking. Before Farid could respond, the figure from the street stepped closer, eyes scanning the shadows. You can stop hiding, Fatima, he shouted, voice laced with authority. This is over. A gut-wrenching feeling settled in her stomach. She was trapped. But the gaze of the guard held something she hadn't expected. Recognition. It sent chills through her body. No, it can't be, she murmured, eyes widening as she began to put the pieces together. Fatima turned to Farid, desperation etched across her face. Who are you really? But before he could answer, the guard swung a flashlight across the alley. The bright beam landed directly on Fatima and Farid. The guard's face twisted into a grin, a face she recognized. I knew you'd run to him. Fatima's heart dropped. Mark, his laughter filled the night air, cruel and sharp. Did you think I wouldn't find you with that idiot? The world around her spun. Everything felt heavy, suffocating. Farid stiffened beside her, eyes narrowing. You shouldn't have. Come back, Mark. This isn't your fight. Oh, but it is. Mark smiled, eyes glinting. You see, you're not the pawn in this game. You're the queen. Panic clawed at Fatima's throat. What was he saying? The tension thickened. Everything she thought she knew was shattering, and the night held its breath for what was to come. What do you mean? She choked out, afraid of the answer. Mark leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. Let me show you. And with that, the shadows deepened, swallowing her world as the real game began. The shadows loomed larger as Mark stood before them, his smile twisting into something much darker. Fatima felt a lump in her throat. She couldn't breathe. This wasn't just a man from her past. He was a part of it, infected with the same past she longed to escape. What do you mean I'm the queen? She murmured, heart racing. His eyes gleamed with malicious delight. You think you're just a maid, a discarded memory? No, Fatima. You're the key. A wave of confusion crashed over her. Key to what? She shook her head, trying to grasp what he was saying. Farid stepped forward, defiant. Don't listen to him. Fatima, he's playing mind games. But Mark held up a hand, silencing Farid with a dismissive glare. Ah, Farid, always trying to save the day. His voice dripped with sarcasm. You know nothing of this. Fatima's mind spun. All she wanted was to escape the pain, not be caught in a web of lies. You don't understand, Fatima. The sheikh. Mark leaned closer, lowering his voice. He's been hiding a treasure you're connected to. She stumbled back, the concrete scraping against her skin. What kind of treasure? Her heart slammed against her ribcage. Mark whispered, his breath hot on her cheek. A rare artifact, one that holds secrets. Secrets about your family. The words struck her like a physical blow. My family? Fatima felt ice in her veins. Mark grinned knowingly. "Oh yes, you're not just some random girl he took in. Your father, he was part of something huge." Fatima's heart sank. "That can't be true. My father, he's nothing." "Your father was a powerful man, Fatima. He crossed wrong people. The sheikh had to protect his own interests." Her breath quickened, and she couldn't shake the horror creeping in. "What did my father do?" "It's about loyalty, my dear. Your father betrayed the wrong people, and you—" Mark's eyes sparkled with malice. "You've been marked ever since." Fatima stumbled back, disbelief turning to fear. "Marked? Why me?" "Because they know you're alive. Because they want what your father stole." Farid pulled Fatima closer, sensing the rising tension. "We need to leave. Now." "But—" Mark laughed. "You think you can escape this, Fatima? You can't run from your blood." A chill raced through her. "What blood?" "Your mother is still alive, Fatima. The chain of your legacy is stronger than they let you know." Time stalled, each second stretching painfully. "My mother? She vanished?" "No, this couldn't be." The fragments of her life fell apart like shattered glass. "She's been hiding for years, while you lived in a world so far removed. The pieces were slipping, and she felt lost." "If this is true, then why didn't the sheikh tell me?" Mark's expression twisted, marked with cruel amusement. "To keep you safe? Or perhaps he wished to protect his own secret." Fatima felt a scream bubbling up, but the words escaped her lips as whispers. "What do you want from me?" Mark stepped back, shadows tightening around him. "Embrace it, Fatima. Own your legacy. Only then will you find the truth." A cracking sound echoed, and the world jolted back into motion. The guard was moving closer. "Fatima, you can't hide anymore," he shouted, his voice rumbling like thunder. Mark's grin widened. "Looks like the game begins anew." Fatima's body tensed. She looked at Farid, fear spilling from her eyes. "What do we do?" The guard lunged forward, but Mark stepped aside, blocking the view. "Run!" Farid shouted, pushing her away. But before she could move, Mark reached out, grabbing her wrist. "You're tied to this. Don't think you can escape your bloodline." The grip was like iron. Behind them, the guard advanced, and the sound of sirens echoed in the distance. Reality crashed in, swift and brutal. Fatima felt time stretch again. Her past was rushing back, the weight of family secrets unraveling, and all she could do was stand there, caught between her dark history and an uncertain future. "You're mine to protect," Mark hissed as the shadows thickened. And in that moment, everything shifted. Chaos flooded the alley, and the truth lurked behind every corner. She never felt so trapped. "What's happening?" Fatima's voice quivered. As the night swallowed her whole, her heart raced. This was just the beginning of something much darker. The game was only starting. The grip on Fatima's wrist tightened, sending a jolt of fear through her. Mark's eyes glinted like a predator's, his smile widening as if he fed off her confusion. "You can't escape what's inside you," he hissed. Her breath came in quick gasps. What was he talking about? Memories churned, memories she didn't understand. The truth about her family felt like a puzzle with missing pieces. "My bloodline?" she squeaked, trying to pull away. "What does that even mean?" Mark's face wasn't just cruel. There was satisfaction there, too. The world twists in ways you can't even imagine. Your father wasn't just a man, Fatima. He was a player in this game, a serious player. The guard was almost upon them. Fatima felt the wall close in, cold and hard against her back. "You're lying," she shouted, her voice trembling with anger and fear. "He was nothing." Mark chuckled darkly, his voice low and mocking. "That's where you're wrong. The Sheikh kept you safe, but he's not as innocent as you think." Fatima's heart raced, pounding like a drum. The air felt thick, like it was hard to breathe. Reality twisted around her, every word shattering the fragile world she thought she knew. "What do you know?" She hated how small she sounded. But before Mark could answer, he stiffened. "They're here," he whispered, panic creeping into his voice. Footsteps thundered behind them, echoing off the alley walls. Fatima's heart sank. "We need to go," Farid yelled, pulling her closer, eyes wide with fear. But Mark wouldn't let go. "You have to understand, Fatima. You're part of this." And then abruptly, he released her. Fatima stumbled into Farid's protective embrace. "Run!" he shouted, urgency sharpening his tone. They darted away, the alley unfurling into chaos. But in the distance, she could still hear Mark's laughter. It echoed, sending chills down her spine. "Don't run from your truth." They turned a corner, and panic gripped her. The world around them felt like a swirl of colors and noise. Did any of it make sense? Fatima's mind raced. The Sheikh, Mark, her father, everyone seemed tangled in an ominous web. "Where do we go?" she gasped, her chest tightening. Farid's face was grim, eyes scanning the streets. "We need to find somewhere safe. I know a place." They sprinted down a narrow street, heartbeats pounding. But suddenly, as they turned another corner, they collided headfirst with a wall of men. Dark suits everywhere. "You're not getting away," one snarled. Fatima's breath froze. Fear spread like ice in her veins. "What do they want?" she shouted, backing up against Farid. Before he could respond, a figure stepped forward. Fatima's breath caught in her throat. "It's you." The voice was smooth, chillingly familiar. It was a face she hadn't seen in years. The Sheikh's right-hand man, Ahmed. "Thought you could escape so easily," Ahmed sneered, his eyes narrowing into slits. Fatima quaked. "What do you want?" she shouted, defiance crackling in the air. "You hold secrets, Fatima, and it's time we collected," Ahmed replied, stepping closer. But then everything shifted. From the shadows, another figure emerged. He stepped into the light, and Fatima's heart stopped cold. "Father?" It was him, the man she'd thought was gone forever. But where was her mother? "You've stirred something dangerous," her father said, voice cold as ice. "And now, there's no turning back." Fatima felt her entire being shudder. "What did you do?" Tears burned in her eyes. This was not how she envisioned their reunion. "You'll find out soon enough," he said, lips curling into an unsettling smile. In that moment, everything changed. The truth weighed heavily in the air, suffocating her. "Run!" Farid shouted again, but her legs felt like lead. Fatima stood frozen, caught between her past and an uncertain future. And as her father's gaze locked onto hers, clarity hit like a punch. Her bloodline was more twisted than she could ever imagine. The guard shifted, and chaos erupted, primal and loud. "You'll pay for this," he growled, lunging forward. Fatima's scream caught in her throat as darkness closed in, shadows threatening to swallow her whole. The secrets of her family loomed closer, but could she handle what they truly meant? And then, from behind, Mark's laugh echoed once more. A game was just beginning. The world around Fatima spun. One moment, she faced her father. The next, chaos erupted. "Run!" Farid shouted again, pulling her closer. But the shadows felt too heavy, like they were pulling her under. The guard lunged forward, eyes wild. Fatima's heart raced. She felt trapped, stuck between her father's cold gaze and the looming figure of the guard. "This isn't over," her father growled, stepping closer, his presence a dark weight, suffocating her. Fatima shook her head, tears prickling her eyes. "You don't get to just show up after all these years." She felt like screaming. "What do you want?" "To protect you," he shot back, voice sharp as a blade. "You don't even realize how deep this goes." Suddenly, something clicked. A memory flooded back. Her mother's warnings about family ties. The secrets whispered in the dark. "What do you mean?" she gasped, heart thumping madly. "Protect me from what?" And then the guard sneered, eyeing Fatima like she was the last prize in a game. "You think he wants your best?" he taunted. "He's using you, just like the Sheikh did." Fatima's breath caught. "And what are you talking about?" She staggered back, panic clawing at her throat. "What's going on?" Mark's laughter echoed in her mind. "You're not just a discarded maid. You're connected to everything," the guard shouted, closing the space between them. "Your past is a storm waiting to break." Farid shoved her behind him, tension in his shoulders. "Back off," he yelled, fists clenched. But Fatima felt frozen, vision narrowing. The pieces were falling into place like shattered glass. "What do you know?" she yelled. "Tell me!" Her father's eyes flickered with something. Was it fear or guilt? "Enough," he snapped. "The truth is dark, Fatima. You're part of a legacy that puts you in danger. That's why I left." Shock coursed through her. "You left to protect me?" she asked, disbelief spilling from her lips. "Or to save yourself?" The guard chortled, taking a step closer. "You think it's all about you? You're a pawn, Fatima, nothing more." And then everything shifted. A distant wail broke through the tension, the sound of approaching sirens. The realization tore through Fatima. "You led them to me," she cried, pointing at her father. "This is your fault." He shook his head, panic rising in his eyes. "No, you don't understand. It's them. They're coming for you." Before she could process it, the guard lunged through the chaos. Farid jerked back, but Fatima stood rooted. A moment of clarity struck. This wasn't just about her. It was about a war she never wanted to be in. "Fatima," Farid called, his voice pulling her from the abyss. "We have to go now." But just as she turned, there was a deafening crash. A small explosion emerged from the corner. Dust and smoke billowed as the alley filled with shouts, a manic symphony of fear. In that chaos, Fatima caught a fleeting glimpse of Mark again, smirking in the shadows. "Whatever you do, don't trust him," he called, his voice almost lost in the tumult. Her heart raced faster. Trust? Who could she trust in this mess? Her father stepped forward, desperation in his eyes. "You have to listen to me, Fatima. Your life depends on it." Behind him, sirens grew louder. The shadows twisted, ready for a fight. "You're mine. You have a lion's heart, Fatima. But they'll devour you if you don't choose wisely." A chill ran through her as she looked at the chaos enveloping them. The world around her felt like it was collapsing. Time hung between breaths. And in that moment of heart-stopping clarity, she faced the truth. There were no heroes here, only shades of darkness. Fatima felt her heart race as she saw the gun glinting in the guard's hand. "They'll find you," he snarled, voice laden with threats. And then the sirens burst into the alley, the lights flashing. Like demons in the night. Time stopped. Choices spun like a vicious carousel. Fatima's breath caught. Did she trust her father? Did she believe Farid? With everything unraveling, she knew one thing for sure. This battle was just beginning, and the real game was about to unfold. The air grew thick with tension as sirens blared all around them. Fatima's heart raced, and she felt like the world was closing in. The guard stepped forward, gun in hand, rage dancing in his eyes. "You think this is a game?" he growled, voice dripping with menace. Fatima's entire body trembled. She shot a look at Farid, his jaw clenched tight, fists ready. "We can't stay here," he hissed, pushing her slightly back. But then, just as fear threatened to take over, her father's voice broke through. "Fatima, you have to listen." But the rage swirling in her gut would not let her. "Listen to what? The lies you've been feeding me?" she spat, the bitterness biting her tongue. Ahmed smiled, a cruel twist on his lips. "You're only making this worse for yourself." And that's when Fatima noticed it, her father's eyes. There was something heavy there, something dark she had never seen before. "You know more than you're letting on," she accused, feeling the weight of betrayal claw at her insides. But her father just shook his head, looking between Fatima and the guard. "You don't understand what you're a part of. This is bigger than us, Fatima." Before she could respond, the guard lunged. Farid pushed her aside, stepping in front of her just as a shot rang out. It was a deafening crack, echoing off the stone walls. Fatima gasped, her world spiraling. Farid staggered back, clutching his shoulder, a look of shock plastered across his face. "No!" she screamed, panic erupting in her chest. The guard laughed, a chilling, empty sound. "See? This is what happens when you meddle." Fatima couldn't breathe. She felt herself start to shake. "Farid!" she shouted, desperation thick in her throat. He crumpled to the ground, pain flashing in his eyes. Fatima dropped to her knees beside him, feeling like her heart was tearing apart. "Stay with me, please!" But as she checked his wound, an ungodly silence fell over the alley. The sirens blurred into the background. And then it happened. From the shadows emerged two figures, cloaked in darkness. Fatima squinted, heart racing. Who were they? But then one stepped into the light, revealing a familiar face. Imara? Her mother. The very woman Fatima had thought was gone forever. "Mom," Fatima cried, disbelief flooding her veins. Imara's lips twisted into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, Fatima, you have to understand." And then it struck like lightning. You knew everything," Fatima felt. The anger boil up. "You left me." The realization hit hard. Imara had not just abandoned her. She had watched it all unfold from the shadows. "I had to protect you," her mother shouted back, voice cracking. But Fatima shook her head, lost in a maelstrom of confusion. "Protect me from what?" "From the truth." Ahmed stepped forward, eyes narrowing. "You see, Fatima, all these years, you were never just a girl. You were part of something huge." Terror thrummed through her. "What do you mean?" And in that split second of silence, her mother revealed the darkest truth. "Your father, he isn't just a man running from his past. He's the source of a family legacy that's hunted by the very people we feared. It's why I left." Fatima's breath hitched. This was too much. "What are you saying?" "You were always meant to lead, Fatima. Follow in your father's footsteps." And just as understanding began to creep in, a deafening explosion rocked the alley. Glass shattered, and the world erupted in chaos. Fatima's heart raced as she looked toward Farid, struggling on the ground, and then back to her parents, who seemed to loom larger than life. "Get down!" she yelled, instinctively throwing herself over Farid. As the smoke swirled around them, a figure broke through the fog. The lights from the sirens flashed on a man, dressed in black, a familiar silhouette. "Enough games!" he shouted. When he stepped forward, Fatima's stomach dropped. It was the Sheikh, her Sheikh, now looming in the chaos. "Fatima," he called, eyes fierce and protective. "We have to move." The pull towards him was undeniable, but then she glanced back at Farid. He was in pain, struggling to stay conscious. Confusion clouded her mind. "What do I do?" And in that moment of doubt, everything shifted again. "Your choice is now, Fatima. Choose wisely," shouted Imara, urgency thick in her voice. The shadows deepened. Everything felt uncertain, like the ground beneath her was shifting. What was she going to do? Would she follow the man who held her heart? Or the parents she thought she'd lost? The night loomed dark, the weight of the truth hanging heavy, and in that moment, she felt utterly lost. And as the dust began to settle, one thing was clear. The game was just beginning. The chaos swirled around them like a storm. Sirens blared, mingling with the sounds of shattered glass. Fatima felt her heart race as she looked at the Sheikh, the man who had once made her feel special. But now he was just another face in the crowd. "What are you doing here?" she shouted, her voice barely breaking through the noise. He stepped closer, urgency in his eyes. "We have no time. They're coming for you." "But—" she hesitated. "Why should I trust you?" Before he could respond, her father's voice rang loud and clear. "You think he cares for you, Fatima? He left you. She turned to him, the pain in her chest twisting tighter. You? You think you can lecture me? The guard laughed, a low sound that made her skin crawl. Look at you, caught between them, just like your father wanted. Every word felt like a punch. What do you mean? What did he want? The guard grinned. You are your father's legacy, but you're in more danger than you know. Fatima's breath caught in her throat. The truth was unraveling, each piece feeling like a dagger. Stop lying, she cried, but the shake in her voice told a different story. Imara grabbed her arm. Fatima, listen. There are secrets that could change everything. You have to know them. The crowd surged around them, voices rising in panic. This is madness, Farid shouted, trying to keep them both protected. But the air crackled with tension. Fatima felt the walls closing in. Shadows shifted, and she heard footsteps approaching fast. We're running out of time, Ahmed barked, glancing nervously into the growing darkness. Suddenly, another loud crack echoed through the alley. A gunshot rang, a deafening sound that silenced the crowd. Fatima froze. A figure crumpled to the ground. No! She screamed, her heart shattering. All eyes turned toward the body. It was Mark. The realization struck hard. Anguish flooded through her. What happened? She gasped, stepping back as chaos erupted again. Ahmed smirked. That's one less player in this game. Farid shot an angry glare at him. You did this! But Fatima was too focused on Mark. His body lay still, eyes wide open in disbelief. He was my friend, she shouted. But then, as if the weight of the moment collapsed inward, she heard something, a whisper. Fatima. It was barely audible, but it froze her in place. She turned. Mark was moving, struggling to breathe, blood staining his shirt. He croaked, eyes pleading. They know about you. A chill raced down her spine. What do you mean? She cried, rushing to his side. But before he could respond, a silhouette appeared, tall and intimidating. The guard. Enough! He raised his weapon, pointing it straight at Mark. Fatima felt a rush of fear. She gasped, caught between protecting Mark and saving herself. Don't do it, she shouted, closer to panic than she'd ever been. Mark looked up at her, his gaze desperate. It's true. Your father, they want you. Her heart dropped. What? But then it hit harder. They know you're alive because of your mother. Every heartbeat thudded in her ears. The air around her felt thick. Her past? Her mother? What do you mean? Mark inhaled sharply, but the guard interrupted him, moving closer. Shut him up! Fatima surged forward, blocking the guard. Stop! Let him talk! She felt raw, exposed. Mark struggled, gasping for breath. There's more at stake than you realize. The guard's grip tightened around his weapon, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Finish it! But with a final heave, Mark whispered the unthinkable. You're not just a pawn, Fatima. You're the one they want. Your blood ties to the treasure. A sudden realization hit her like a wave. The legacy. The danger. She felt a pit form in her stomach. Mark's bloodied hand fell weakly to the ground. You're their only hope. The guard's eyes widened as confusion mixed with frustration. What? No. Fatima took a step back, vulnerability flooding her heart. Everything she thought was true was now in question. This can't be real. And as the shadows loomed, a cold truth washed over her. She was caught in a game, bigger and darker than she could ever fathom. And before she could take another breath, everything went black. The sirens blared outside, echoing in her thoughts. Who could she trust when even her blood was a weapon against her? Fatima blinked. The world blurred. Mark's body was limp, pain taking over. The guard's weapon loomed, a dark threat. Everyone was shouting, the chaos twisting into a surreal blur. "No, Mark!" Fatima cried, feeling like she was losing grip on reality. Mark wheezed, his voice thin. "You have to!" the guard shouted, drowning him out. "Shut up! You're a dead man!" Panic surged. Fatima felt adrenaline flood through her. "Help him!" she yelled, instinctively pushing forward. But Farid was still holding her back, urgency lining his features. "Fatima, stay back!" he spat, eyes darting around. Explosion of sounds clamored in her head. The sirens were deafening. Shadows pressed closer. And then it happened. A hand grabbed her shoulder, a familiar grip, but it was rougher, colder. "Let's go!" It was Ahmed. Fatima recoiled, a wave of rage swelling inside. "You? Why would I trust you?" His eyes glimmered with something dark. Was it desperation? "You don't have a choice," he hissed, dragging her toward the alley's exit. Fatima struggled against him, confusion pulsing through her. "Mark needs help!" In that moment, Mark's voice broke through the noise again, weak yet resolute. "Listen to him, Fatima!" Her heart sank. "Why?" she shouted, torn between trust and doubt. But then, a rush of air knocked her backward. The street began to shift. Light flickered, and she saw it. A luxurious black SUV screeched to a halt. The door swung open, revealing another figure. It was a woman, tall, striking. Fatima's breath caught. "Is that—" The woman stepped forward, and the crowd scattered like leaves. Mother? Imara stood there, a ghost from her past. But something was off. The way she moved, the confidence radiating from her. "You shouldn't have come back." Imara's voice was smooth, yet it sent chills down Fatima's spine. Farid stepped forward, confusion swirling in his eyes. "We need to get out of here." But Fatima couldn't tear her gaze from her mother. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her heart pounding. Imara smiled, but it felt wrong, like it was masking something deeply unsettling. "I've come to collect what's mine." Shock silenced the alley. "What do you mean?" Fatima's mind raced. "You think your father sacrificed himself for you." Imara continued, stepping forward. "Everything he did was to protect his legacy, and me." A lump formed in Fatima's throat. "Your legacy?" And then Mark gasped, voice strained. "Fatima, it's true." She turned to him, eyes wide. "What?" "Your father was never the man you thought he was. There's much darker history to all of this." Ahmed's expression sharpened. "Enough! We don't have time for this." But the pieces were tumbling into place. "What dark history?" Fatima demanded, stepping closer to her mother. Imara's eyes sparkled, a strange glint of satisfaction. Then, out of nowhere, darkness surged. A masked figure burst into the alley, gun raised high. "Get on the ground," he shouted, voice muffled and menacing. Fatima's heart raced. Everything was spiraling. "Everyone just stay calm," the figure yelled, the tension thick enough to slice. And then a realization hit Fatima like a punch. "Who are you?" she breathed, fear creeping in. "I'm the one who knows the truth." The masked figure stepped closer, sword of mystery hanging in the air. Fatima felt the world tilt as the weight of her family's choices crashed down. They all stared, waiting for answers. The silence loomed, heavy. She could only think of one thing. The game had changed completely. And the secrets, they were just beginning to surface. The masked figure tilted his head. "You've been chosen, Fatima, whether you want it or not." Her breath hitched, and everything faded to black. Fatima felt the tension peak. The masked figure stood before her, shrouded in mystery, holding the weight of family legacy in his hands. Panic rippled through the crowd as shadows and chaos melded. "You've been chosen, Fatima," he said, his voice haunting, yet oddly calm. For better or for worse. Her heart raced, a deafening beat, drowning out the sirens that still blared in the distance. With her breath hitching, Fatima looked around, searching for comfort. Beside her, Farid's eyes burned with determination, even as blood trickled from his shoulder. "Remember, Fatima," he whispered fiercely, locking eyes with her. "You're stronger." But then her mother stepped forward. "It's time to end this cycle," Imara declared, stepping into the light. The air crackled with sudden electricity. Fatima felt pulled between two worlds, two truths. "What do you mean?" she demanded, her voice shaky but resolute. Imara stared at her, fierce and proud. "To protect you, I had to keep you away. Your father's mistakes don't define you. It's time you reclaim your own destiny." Fatima's mind raced. Memories colliding. Sudden warmth, bitter betrayals, silent cries. Her pulse quickened, threatening to burst forth. But how? It was a plea more than a question. The masked figure moved closer, the truth in his eyes both a comfort and a curse. "Embrace what you are, Fatima. Only then can you break free." Suddenly, the air shifted. A loud explosion rocked the alley, a sound like thunder, scattering debris around them. People screamed and scrambled away. And then, silence fell. Fatima stood, heart hammering. "What's happening?" Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Farid groaned, clutching his wound. Ahmed seized the moment of chaos, shouting out orders, but the masked figure waved him off, enjoying the turmoil. "You're running out of time. Choose," he beckoned. Before Fatima could comprehend, she felt a tugging at her heart. "I want to start anew," she declared, the wild energy coursing through her. The past haunted her still, but hope sparked. Imara stepped closer, eyes shining with unshed tears. "Together, we can face whatever comes next." Fatima nodded, her heart swelling with courage. "I choose to fight for my future." The masked figure smiled knowingly, then turned on his heel, dark shapes gathering behind him. "Then let the game begin," he murmured, before disappearing into the chaos. The crowd began to circulate around them, a new energy igniting hope in Fatima's heart. And as she looked around, At Farid, her mother, and even the fleeting shadows, it became clear. The weight of legacy pressed against her, but so did the strength of the choice she just made. The fight wasn't over, but for the first time, she felt like it could be hers to win. With her family by her side and her heart full of fire, Fatima stepped forward into the unknown, ready to reclaim her story. And as they blurred into the distance, one question lingered in the air. What came next? You must subscribe immediately. Don't wait another second to share your thoughts, reactions, and theories in the comments. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. And make sure we keep these exclusive stories coming. This is the moment to show your support. And remember to share right away with 5 friends who need to read this finale. Only true fans understand how vital these actions are. Let's keep this amazing community growing